Hey guys, I'm back. I took an extended walk today. It's pretty late in the afternoon, like 1:30, 2 o'clock. But I started a little late, as you could see, as you kind of saw yesterday, you know, my vlogs. Again, I am so sorry for that. That was definitely my fault. Now that I look at it, hopefully, you know, if you see this vlog this way today, there's something wrong with my phone. I'll just admit it because I have it the correct way. I'm looking at the camera. I don't know what else to do. So anyway, let me just take a quick look at this. Well, actually, you know what? I'm going to vlog and then I'll just take a look at it. What I was going to talk to you today about was the documentary that I did on Wednesday. Not yesterday's trip and not yesterday's vlog. But I was talking about the documentary that I did on Wednesday. Now, the director of that film was a former HPHS. Now, I grew up in a town called Highland Park, New Jersey, and I used to go to a high school called Highland Park High School. He went to high school with me there, so he knows, and he grew up in the area, so he knows the area very well. And he was discussing race relations. Now, mind you, black female, he's a white male, and he was discussing how he observed things from his point of view about growing up in Highland Park and how, he perceived a lot of stuff and how it went through his life. And then he wanted to interview people from different nationalities and how they perceived it. And also he lived on a north side. There was a north and a south. I lived on the south side. He lived on the north side. And there were so many differences and startling news. It was basically not the place to be. The south side was not looked upon as a safe side. It was looked on as like an urban area. I grew up on the south side of Highland Park. Do I look urban or do I... Not that urban has a look, but do I look like I'm dangerous? Hello, I graduated in the top 50 of my class. I'm not dangerous. My dad, who lived with me, who lived in the same house with me, he was one of the members of the Board of Education. He worked there for years. He was well known throughout the town. My parents were council people. But there was a stigma attached to the south side of town as opposed to the north side of town. And that's what he was examining in the documentary. And he talked to me about it for a few hours about everything, about race relations, about OJ, about, Rodney King, about Trayvon Martin. He talked to me about race and my viewpoint on it as opposed to his viewpoint. Not that he ever expressed his viewpoint, because it was basically my opinion that was he wanted in my interview, and just basically things that he didn't know as opposed to what I didn't know about the town, and just stories of what was going on in my town during the time. Now, mind you, I was born in the 70s, and I moved to that town around the 80s. Yeah, so actually I'll even say even the late 70s, early 80s. It was pretty, it was a while ago. We won't talk about it. But my side and my viewpoint on things, how they were different, how the Girl Scouts were different, how, the Girl Scouts on the north side were richer than the Girl Scouts on the south side, when I assumed Girl Scouts were supposed to be Girl Scouts of the town, as opposed to Girl Scouts of the south side of town, as opposed to the north side of town. Anyway, and how I remember the preppy girls from my high school days, the stigma attached, how they looked down on everybody else, and how we had a class reunion and they stuck in the same group throughout, and they looked pretty lonely. You know, they talked to us. They were complimentary. They were kind to us, but they all looked pretty lonely because they didn't make friends with anybody else but within their little clique. That was their choice. Anyway, so that was my documentary, and it was a really great experience to see him again because we discussed how we came from the same town, the same school. He graduated a couple of years ahead of me, but we hardly even spoke and saw each other. When he was going to high school, I remember he had a mohawk, and that used to kind of creep me out a little bit. And he was a very standoffish kind of guy and a tough bully kind of guy without really meaning to. Well, no, he meant to be. He said it. He was, well, I can't tell you what he said he was, but he was. And I discussed what I was and how it affected me through my high school experience. He had an okay experience. I had a fine experience. I was okay. You know, nobody bothered me. Seriously, nobody really bothered me, or I didn't let people bother me. And those that did, oh my God, they are so lesser than me now. So, let's put it this way. I don't think they're doing a show. I don't think they have a channel. And if they do, that's great. But we've grown up. Excuse me. So, that was my day. That was my Wednesday. So, tomorrow, I'll talk about my New York day. So I hope you enjoy. I'll see you guys later.